one work of art that Kandinsky is known for is his artwork with concentric circles. Now, if you don't know what those are, I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of what his artwork looks like. We're going to create our own version of Kandinsky's concentric circles, and we're going to use, if you guys have it, we're going to use construction paper, or I know you might not have lots of different colors of construction paper, so even at my house I only had 2 colors. If you have different colored paper, that would work, but if you don't have different colored paper but you happen to have regular printer paper or even lined paper and a crayon, you can make your own colored paper. I just made some green and red paper by scribbling with a crayon all over the page, so you can make colored paper if you don't have it. I understand that you obviously at your house don't have all the same art supplies that we have in our classroom at Brentwood. So I'm going to always try to modify our lessons so that if you don't have something that I'm trying to make the lesson with, that you guys have some other options of what you could do. So if you don't have physical paper to use that you can make this artwork with, I'm also going to show you guys a way that you can do it digitally on your laptop, on an iPad, on anything that has some sort of paint program. You can still do this project very, very simply if you don't have any paper or art supplies at home, okay? Okay, the first kind of concentric circle I'm going to show you how to make is going to be one that you don't need any paint or anything like that for. If you have at your house some paper, some colorful paper, or you have paper that you can color yourself, like I showed you in my first video, some glue, scissors, you can do it this way. I'm going to show you 2 other ways that you can also do this project. There's another way that you can do it with watercolored paints and white paper. You could do it with just crayon and white paper, and you can also do it digitally on the computer, which I'm going to show you as well. Our first step in creating our Kandinsky style concentric circles is going to be to get any color paper that you want. It could be white, it could be colorful if you want. I just chose black because that's what I had. And you're going to try to break it up into 6 even sections. So I'm going to start by folding my paper in half. And I'm doing this horizontally, or as you guys might know it, hot dog style. Okay, I'm going to fold it in half like that, so I have a crease down the middle, and then I'm going to fold it into thirds. This is a little bit harder. If your sections don't come out perfectly evenly, that's completely fine. It doesn't really matter if they're perfect, just as long as they're kind of close. So you guys can probably see now that I have 6 different sections on my paper. That's good because I'm going to try to make 6 different concentric circles. So this is where I now get my colorful paper. So I don't need the black paper anymore. Okay, once you have your colorful paper, you're going to take your scissors, mine are kind of fun little elephants, and you're going to cut your paper across in half into some smaller sections, some smaller squares. Now it is important that your pieces of paper can fit inside of your 6 boxes. So this one is too big, so I need to make sure that it's as small or smaller than that square, because if not, my circles aren't going to fit on my frame. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit to make it a little bit smaller. And you can have some that are smaller and some that are a little bit bigger, so I'm going to do this one bigger. You could measure it perfectly if you want to, so if you want to bring in that, and then I can like put it right on top, and I can kind of see exactly where I need to cut. So I need to cut a little bit off the edges, and I can do that so that it matches up perfectly in that square. Ooh, it would help if my paper wasn't rotating. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same with some other colored paper as well. Okay, I decided I didn't want my background to all be black for my circles, so I actually cut out 2 yellow squares and a blue square that I'm going to glue down onto my background before I get started with my circles. So once that is done, I can move this out of the way and I can get my other colored paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start cutting my little squares into circles. So you can fold them in half. I'm going to fold this in half. You can take your scissors to make it nice and smooth if you want a smooth circle. To to cut a circle. You can also try, and I would encourage you to experiment with this, because even if you have scissors, it's kind of fun to do it this way too. If you fold it in half and then try ripping a circle. So you're just pinching with your thumbs and ripping the paper apart, because it looks really cool actually when not all the circles are perfect. So if you have ones with a little bit of a rough edge, they look pretty cool. They create a different texture on your paper when you start stacking them up. So you can do some cut, some ripped. So you're gonna take your paper and you're gonna make just different sizes of all the different colors. Okay, once you have some circles cut out in different colors, you're gonna start stacking them on top of each other to create these concentric circles. The circles that start small in the center and get larger and larger as you go out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just show you some examples of how you can do that. And you don't have to follow any sort of pattern. You can make it however you want it to look. Something that I thought was kind of fun that I started doing was with some of them, I would cut them to make them look like a donut, so that it was kind of like having two circles in one, so that this one has a pattern of yellow, red, yellow, red. Again, you can have fun, you can play with it and create patterns, or, you know, just whatever you think looks good. There's a lot of freedom in how you guys want to create your circles. Obviously, you wouldn't want to stack red circles on top of red circles. Let me show what I'm talking about. If I took all these reds and I put them on top of each other, is that a concentric circle? No, now I just have one red circle. So it is important that you stack varying colors. You stack different colors on top of each other because that's going to make it more interesting to look at. Oh, now I'm trying to remember how I have these. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this. Okay, and once you have all of these circles done, you can glue them together. So I'm gonna take glue. I'll start with the smallest circle. I'll take the smallest circle and I'll glue it to the next layer, and then I'll take this layer and I'll glue it to this one until all my circles are stuck together and glued down. Okay, once you have all your circles glued together, you're gonna then put them and lay them out on your background, and you can arrange them any way that you want to. Once all of your circles are glued down to the paper, you are officially done. You have finished your Kandinsky style concentric circle project, and I'm sure they look amazing. Please remember that I have office hours available to you. If you want to show me your artwork, if you want to send me emails with your artwork, I would love to see what you guys are creating at home. Here is the second style that you can create your Kandinsky concentric circles. So if you just happen to have plain white paper, works best. And if you have any watercolor paints at home, this is another option of how you can create these circles. So I'm gonna start with the same step I did last time. I'm gonna break my paper into 6 different sections. So I'm gonna do that by folding it in half horizontally first. Ooh. And then I'm going to fold, my table was shaking a little bit. I'm gonna fold it into 3 sections here to create a total of 6 sections. All right, and you guys know that when we're using watercolors, a really good way to keep your sections separated, so I have 6 different boxes that I'm going to be working with. What would be a good thing that I could use so that my paints don't run together? I know I've taught you guys this before, and I'm hoping you're screaming at your computer screens, use a white crayon, because remember that wax resists water. So we're gonna go ahead and trace over those lines with a white crayon if you happen to have one. If you don't have a white crayon, you could use any colored crayon, and if you don't have any crayons, that's okay too. You're just gonna be a little bit more careful not to let your boxes spread too much color. Okay, once I've traced over my sections with my white crayon, that's again just gonna help me keep my colors inside of each individual square. I do want to say that you could continue to use white to draw your concentric circles and then have all your colors very separated. So that would be one option. I'll show you how to do that. Or you can let your colors kind of blend together. It might end up looking a little bit like tie-dye if you do that, especially if you're using a lot of water on your brush. So you can see the different styles I'm about to do, and you can kind of choose which one you want to do. I do want to point out that I am going to, for my project, going to do cool colors together in a square, and then I'm going to do warm colors together in a square. And I'm going to try not to mix the cool and the warm colors, just because we know that sometimes certain colors, because they're opposing on the color wheel, are going to blend together and make a brown color, and it might not turn out the way you want it to. So that's just personally what I'm going to do, but I will let you, again, you have complete freedom in what colors you choose to use for your project. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a couple different ways to make these circles. Okay, first I'm going to demonstrate how to keep your colors very separated by using the white crayon. So I'm going to just draw. I know you guys can't really see it because it's white on white paper, but I just drew some circles with my white crayon on my paper. And again, I made them concentric. So I started small in the center, and then I got larger and larger as I drew around. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my paintbrush, which I actually forgot water. So of course you need, when using watercolor paints, you need water. So I'm gonna go get some water and dip my paintbrush in my different cool colors, and I'll show you how the white keeps it separate. So the white crayon is going to help keep my colors very contained and not blending together. Okay, have my water now. So I'm gonna dip my brush always in my water first, and then I'm gonna dry my brush by lightly tapping it on the side of my bowl, and then I'm going to choose my color. I think that it's going to work better if you start in the center of your circle and work your way to the edges, rather than starting with the largest circles and working your way in, because that might get a little bit messy. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the light blue, almost like a turquoise, and I'm going to find that center circle that I drew. And I'm gonna fill it in. It's a really, really small one. And then I'm gonna switch to my next color. And you can see that little white circle that I drew to separate those colors is still there, because again, the wax that crayons are made out of resists the water. So as long as I don't put too much water on my paper, that line should still show up. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this a little bit faster now so you can see how it looks when it's done. Okay, so you can see on this one, I did go a little bit overboard with my water on my paintbrush. So in some cases you can see that the colors did blend together a little bit, but drawing those white circles first definitely helped to keep the colors from bleeding into each other. So now I'm going to demonstrate the opposite for you. I'm not going to use the white crayon, and I am going to intentionally let those colors really blend together on my next circle so that you can see the difference in the style, and then you can decide what style you like, or like I'm doing on my paper, you can use a mixture of the two styles. So you can see on this one, my lines are a little bit less clearly defined, and actually even as I'm talking, you can see that some of the colors are starting to bleed together more and more. Again, that's because I didn't use the white crayon to separate the different circles, but either style still has, a beautiful outcome, and you can choose however you want to do yours. Again, you can choose that. So I'm going to just show you what my finished product is going to look like. As you can see, I've now finished. Now, I was going really quick because I'm just trying to make an example to show you guys, but because I was rushing, I did drip some warm colors on my cool colors, but I think it still looks pretty cool. And just remember, if you make a mistake on your artwork, it's okay. It's art. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's however you want it to look. And I think that this came out looking pretty good. It's definitely different from the other version that I showed you guys where we cut the circles, especially because I chose to do cool colors and warm colors separately. You guys could choose to do something different if you would like. I think my favorite one is this one because I kept some of the white edges and I think it makes the colors look really crisp, and it's really easy to see the different colors that I use, the turquoise and the purple and the blue. So I would just encourage you guys to have fun with this, play with it, make it what you want it to be, and yeah, practice making concentric circles in the style of Kandinsky. Okay, the last way I want to show you how you can create this artwork. So let's say you don't have any paper at home, or you don't have glue, scissors, paint. That's okay. If you have a computer that has a paint application, this is really easy. If your computer or your iPad, whatever device you're using, doesn't have a paint application, there are some really simple free ones that you can get. So I will make sure I include the links to those. And I'm just going to quickly show you how you could create your Kandinsky style concentric circles right here on Paint. So I just started with File and I clicked New and I got a blank fresh page. And then I'm gonna again start the exact same way I started my others, which was dividing it into 6 sections. So I'm just gonna use my line drawing tool, which is right here up at the top corner. Don't know if you can see where my mouse is. Yeah, I think you can. Okay, and then I'm gonna draw lines, 6 boxes on my page. Try to make my lines as straight as possible. It's okay if they're not perfectly straight. And again, it's okay if your boxes don't come out perfectly. Then, just like I did with my one with construction paper, my example with construction paper, I'm gonna make some of those boxes different colors. My favorite color is yellow, so I always like making things yellow. But I'll try to use some other colors as well. I think I'll use, oh, that was not good. So what that means is, because I tried to fill one box and it all turned pink, that means I didn't connect my lines down here at the bottom all the way to the end of the page. Okay, so I undid that, and now I'm gonna make just one box pink. I'm gonna do one box green, blue, red. We'll go with orange. Okay. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click over here and I'm gonna click on a circle making tool, and I'm gonna again change my color. So I'm gonna create a blue circle and I wanna fill it. So I'm gonna click the bucket fill and fill it. And inside of the blue circle, I'm gonna put a purple circle inside there. Again, gonna fill it in with purple. You know what? I don't like the way the purple looks on the blue, so I'm going to change it to a brighter color. I'm going to make it green instead. I just did that with bucket fill. Actually, I like yellow. I think yellow will look nice. And then inside of the yellow, I will make a pink circle. Now mine are not perfectly even or in the perfect spot, but that's okay. They don't have to be perfectly centered. And ta-da, there are my concentric circles on the paint application on my computer. So again, if you don't have any art supplies to do a physical art project, you can make a digital art project and still be making our Russian inspired artwork inspired by Vasily Kandinsky.